Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video for the Innovators Challenge for Roboticon 2024. In today's video, we are going to be discussing how to choose a project and how to start your projects after you have chosen. Before we discuss how to choose a project, let's quickly recap the project themes and what they are. The overall theme is natural disasters, but we have further split that up into two sub-themes. The first is preventative measures. These are things like early warning systems, environmental monitoring robots, or even something like strengthening infrastructure to be able to withstand a natural disaster. The second sub-theme is relief measures. These are things like search and rescue robots, the automated delivery of essential supplies, or even something like debris removal and environmental restoration. The main difference here is preventative measures happens before a natural disaster occurs and relief measures happen after. So now that we know what the project theme is, how do you go about choosing a project? I would recommend by choosing a natural disaster first. This could be something like an earthquake or even something like a hurricane. Once you have chosen your natural disaster, you need to then do some research into the effects that that natural disaster has. Once you have done that, you will get a better understanding of what your project needs to do to help with that natural disaster. With an earthquake, a preventative measure could be something like an early warning system, and a relief measure could be something like rubble removal. For hurricanes, a preventative measure could be an early warning and evacuation system to make sure no one is in harm's way, and a relief measure could be something like the delivery of essential goods. This is especially important for a hurricane because they are known to take out water and electricity supplies in an area, making the delivery of essential goods priority number one. Now that you've chosen your project and you've done some research into your natural disaster, what do you do next? I would recommend breaking your project down into its inputs, process, and its outputs. When thinking about the inputs of your project, you need to think about what information your project needs in order to work correctly. Do you need to know the temperature of the area? If so, maybe you should think about adding a temperature sensor. Do you need to know if something is in the way? In which case you'll need something like a motion detector or a distance sensor. Once you've decided on your inputs, the next step is the outputs. The outputs are what you want your project to physically do. Do you need your project to move around like a robot? Do you need your robot to move around? In which case, think about adding something like a DC motor and wheels. Do you need to display some sort of information? In which case you could add an LCD screen which will allow you to display text and give that information to whoever is using your project. Once you have finished your inputs and outputs, this is going to make up the hardware of your entire project. Now you can move on to the process or the software of your project. This is where you will be programming your Arduino to use your inputs to control your outputs, which is going to be your physical project. If you need some extra information on your components that are included in your kits, then go back in your books and videos to get that information. If you have chosen an extra component to include in your project, make sure that it is within the budget. If it is in the budget, you need to do your own research on how to use the component and what it does. If you don't do this, the judges will catch you out because as soon as they see an extra component, that is going to be the first thing they ask you to make sure you understand how it works. Make sure to record all of the research you have done in this process, whether it be for your project the natural disaster, or your components, because these are the sort of things that the judges will ask you about on the day of Roboticon. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope the first steps of your project go well. So join me next time for another one. Goodbye.